is a new day. This is a new day full of sound and light and church picnic and expectation. This day has been waiting for you. It's been waiting especially for you to embrace you. This day has been waiting with open arms for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. And please rise for our first hymn in the teal hymnal, 1004. 1004. Welcome to another country. In this country. Good to be with you all. It's just really wonderful. We're going to have our church picnic afterwards. So we have, I've made some potato salad, and Jennifer's calling it Reverend Joseph's famous potato salad. It's famous for both of us since yesterday. But I hope you enjoy it. And we have a number of dishes too. It's open to everybody, so come join us for that. And yeah, I hope you had a good Fourth, good safe Fourth yesterday. And I'm looking forward to exploring another country with you. Big sale! Yeah. And also, yes, thank you. It is also a bake sale. So Rachel, are you around? In the kitchen. Rachel's in the kitchen. So we have a wonderful bake sale happening as well. So definitely pick up some sweets. It should be really, really good. So join us for that. Now I would love to invite Ellen Satry.
Our chalice lighting ritual every Sunday is an opportunity for members to offer thoughts, inspirations, information, all the ways to guide us to be together and to worship together, shared. So I asked Reverend Joseph if I could offer some words to spark interest in our Equal Exchange Coffee project, which is a long-standing, more than 25 years, fundraising project in which we sell coffee and other food products that are fairly traded and organic, and it's a fundraiser for the church. I'm not going to talk too much about that today, but maybe later this summer. But when it dawned on me that today was going to be on the weekend of July 4th, and the commemoration of America's 250th year since the Declaration of Independence, I thought, how can I ever connect coffee to this celebration of our democracy? Well, what do you do when you're faced with some kind of a dilemma? Well, you think up a question and you Google it. Sure. So my first question to my phone was, what were people drinking in colonial America? Now, the short answer is they drank alcohol. Hard cider, beer, rum, even in diluted form to children. And you can probably guess why. Plain water was very often contaminated, and the only way to make it safe was to boil it or do something else to it to kill germs. But drinking tea and coffee that are boiled water were also very popular, especially for the settlers who had come from England, and they brought those traditions with them. Now, after the English imposed that dreaded, hated tea tax, which was a very complicated story having to do with global trade and colonialism, and it's very complicated, just like tariffs are today. But at that time, many of the settlers drank coffee as a protest drink. We're not drinking tea, we're boycotting tea. We will drink coffee. Hence, coffee becomes a protest drink. Now, during that time, there were many coffee houses, and they were patterned after the ones that had become popular in England, and a site where many people gathered, mostly men, and they drank coffee, but they also had heated conversations, debates, arguments, planning sessions in these coffee houses. And that happened in colonial America as well. Now, picture that. Planning a revolution in a coffee house. And remember, we now know who was the good side and the not good side in that revolution. Now, UUYO is not a coffee house. Not quite a coffee house, but pretty close. So during the coffee house, after the worship service, when you have your cup of coffee, you could also sit down and debate issues of the time. And maybe even if you planned a revolution, you would be in good company of all those protesters whose talk led to the Declaration of Independence 250 years ago. And in that spirit, let us light our chalice today.
So here's the fun part. I see some of you are a little warm. We do have some hand fans back there. I think we have enough for a lot of people. So feel free to grab one. And we can do that as we greet our neighbor and mingle around for a little bit. Say hello.
Good to see you. It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, really.
Oh, did you get the text that you did?
I did, but I haven't had a chance to. I mean, I was driving at the time. So.
$80 to drive around Chicago on a stuffing. It doesn't say how long.
Anyone back here, fan?
They don't say so, but I think
I like new dicks. Like the shirt.
We call this the couple. Tim
I
Bill.
like how it like colors are.
Yeah. Tim Bill. Custom made.
So, I have the distinct honor of serving as Kathleen Ho's understudy today and bringing you our UU Minute. Today, I will share with you a special kind of story called a UU Minute. A UU Minute tells us about someone from our Unitarian Universalist faith or from our Unitarian and Universalist history who lived out values that still matter to us today. This morning, I want to tell you about a person who believed in freedom, reason, courage, and the right of people to follow their own conscience. He was born a long time ago, before there was a United States of America. He grew up in Braintree, Massachusetts, in a small, simple home. His family was not rich or fancy. His father was a farmer and a shoemaker, and he was also a deacon in their church. From his father, this boy learned that faith was important, but so was serving the community. His father took part in town meetings where people gathered to talk about the needs of their town and make decisions together. Watching that helped the boy understand that ordinary people should have a voice. His parents also believed deeply in education. Before he was even born, they hoped their first son would go to college. His father hoped he might become a minister someday. But when the boy was young, school was not always easy for him. At one point, he told his father that he would rather be a farmer than keep studying. But his father did not give up on him. He moved him to a better school, and there the boy began to do much better. He worked hard, learned to love books and ideas, and by the time he was 15 years old, he was ready to go to Harvard. As he grew older, he decided not to become a minister after all. He became a lawyer, but the lessons of his childhood stayed with him. Think carefully, serve the community, respect conscience, and do what is right even when it is difficult. He became a Unitarian, believing that religion and reason could go together. He believed people should ask questions, use their minds, and listen to their conscience. When the American colonies were ruled by Great Britain, many people were afraid to speak out against the king. But this man believed that people should have a voice in their own government. He believed laws should be fair. He believed no ruler should have unlimited power over other people. He spoke strongly in favor of American independence. He helped America move toward becoming a new nation. He served in the Continental Congress and was part of the group connected with the Declaration of Independence, which was adopted on July 4th, 1776. Later, he became the second President of the United States. And one of the most amazing things about his life happened at the very end. He died on July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years after the Declaration of Independence was adopted. So today, as we think about Independence Day, we remember a Unitarian who grew from a farm boy into a leader, and who helped shape the idea that people should be free, that conscience matters, and that courage is sometimes needed to make justice real. Have you guessed who he is?
John Adams.
Congrats, yeah, we have winners.
And to me, this is actually more exciting than having John Adams as one of our Unitarian ancestors. It is Andy Crabb's birthday tomorrow. So can we, let's sing Andy happy birthday.
If you want a little more context,
I'll talk about that too. Now please join me in reading our covenant. It is found in your order of service. It's very simple, and I'll say it very slowly. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We pass the plate during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance and to support our community in a tangible way. This month, our plate goes to Policy Matters Ohio. Policy Matters Ohio is a nonprofit, nonpartisan policy research institute that advances research and advocacy to build a more equitable, sustainable, and inclusive Ohio. Their current work focuses on tax and budget policy, fair wages and worker rights, public education funding, health equity, climate and sustainability, criminal legal reform, and campaigns such as restoring driver's licenses suspended for debt and ensuring public investments in the semiconductor industry to benefit Ohio workers and communities. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of our church, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
So before there was a country, there was meditation. Let's enjoy that.
Excerpt from Another Country by James Baldwin. The occurrence of an event is not the same thing as knowing what it is that one has lived through. Most people had not lived, nor could it, for that matter, be said that they had died, through any of their terrible events. They had simply been stunned by the hammer. They passed their lives thereafter in a kind of limbo of denied and unexamined pain. The great question that faced him this morning was whether or not he had ever really been present at his life. For if he had ever been present, then he was present still, and his world would open up before him.
It's always a funny thing because we celebrate our wedding anniversary on July 3rd, right before July 4th. We just celebrated 15 years. July 3rd, yeah. And we chose this date because we figured around our anniversary we would get a long weekend. We got married in Oregon in the Rose Garden, and they announced our wedding was happening at the First Unitarian Church, which is about 10 minutes away. So we had all these wedding crashers, and we weren't sure there would be enough food for everybody. I can say for myself, I had no idea how to live a life with another person. And the miracle is that it's not stopped me. I remember very once in a while, not often, men would ask me for marriage advice. How do you stay married? And I told them the truth. It has happened in spite of myself. Which was not helpful advice, by the way. So over the years, I've grown to appreciate there's so much more to that. I really couldn't have imagined a happier life 15 years later. I took the title Another Country from James Baldwin, who I love. He grew up in New York, and like many artists and people, felt constricted by living in the United States. He eventually moved to France, but would visit and often flirt with coming back here. He bought an apartment in New York so he could spend more time here. But his title, Another Country, is not about France. It's about living in the United States. He was curious to explore the truths that are right in front of us, the ones that we hide from ourselves. He wanted to know what happened inside our private lives and how this played out in what we came to understand was our country. His premise was that the narrative of the United States was a gloss over, a surface story for what was really going on. The real story was the mutual exploration we do together right now of another country, a place we've never been before, but that calls us and captivates us. He wrote about people who had to hide their sexual identities, people who had affairs, people who felt that their way of life was not acceptable or respectable. And he wrote that this other country exists within this one. I see this truth everywhere now. Before going out to dinner for our anniversary in Pittsburgh, we went out to a dive bar while we were waiting for a table. We walked in and two people were smoking cigarettes like it was 1995. And I was pretty sure it was illegal. But I walked into another country with different rules. A kind older gentleman at the bar had pictures of himself, and I assume his family and his friends, plastered on the back wall, yellowed with memory. Pictures of catching fish, kissing people he loved. Sitting behind the same bar I saw him on July 4th, 30 years later. He asked me what I was having, and it was hot and in the middle of the afternoon, so I said, a couple of Yanglings, please. And he asked if we would like glasses, and I said, sure. And he said, beer is on the house today. And a regular said, yeah, it's free. Enjoy. The World Cup was on TV and was just about to start. And I imagine people from Cabo Verde, off the coast of Africa, and people connected to Argentina crowded around televisions in the United States, seeking a taste of home and rooting for what was still here. Kindness abounds. When we left, we were given a proper goodbye by regulars who I never even shared my name with. And I saw the strangeness and the best of this country. That people can meet as strangers and through kindness become more than strangers. One of the things I love about living here, and I know drives other people bonkers who live in other places, is the feeling that we can always begin again. That our destiny is not written in stone. That our fate is not sealed. That revelation is still open and available. Only in America can you have large groups of people who don't identify with being American and who don't actively participate in the American project, who live here, and in so doing are the most American. No other country I visited has such a high percentage of people who don't identify with the culture or the politics of where they live. It's extra funny because I grew up with this extreme, living as a religious minority, groups of people who never even voted or participated in politics, a minority that was created in one of the few countries that would allow it. This is a strange country to live in. And more people who are born in this country are waking up to how strange it is. It's a beautiful country, because within this country is always another country. It's not the story of this country that makes the country. It's not the messages of for or against anything. It's the stuff underneath that complicates and asks us to look a little deeper at what is actually calling to us. I came across this quote recently from Parker Palmer. Before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. Before you tell your life what truths and values you have decided to live up to, let your life tell you what truths you embody and what values you represent. I think this is such a wise thing. I think we're really tempted in this country to feel we're in a values war where we want to make sure our side wins. Instead of taking a step back and asking ourselves what values our life actually embodies, and just live that with as much fearlessness as possible. In that sense, it's not a war. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of the Spirit, a celebration of self, a celebration of this country and what is possible. I really don't think it's a random accident that we found ourselves in this country. Whether we're here temporarily or we're going to be here for the rest of our lives. The theme this month is serendipity. And I'm dipping a toe in these waters. It may indeed be fortunate that we have found ourselves here at this time and place. And I think it may provide us the direction and meaning of our fortune. And that's a good lead into what we're doing here at church. Even if we choose to see our lives as a collection of random events and coincidences, what direction is provided to us? One of the things I love about this church is we don't provide a formula for that direction. The direction comes, but it can come from inside us, outside us, or both, simultaneously. It can bubble up and speak to us in a language we know well, or one like our first hymn that maybe we're unfamiliar with, or one we've never heard before. And no matter, because each language is a language that exists in this country, in another country we're perhaps unaware of. I think it's wonderful that we are here on the second day of the 250th anniversary. It's a good day to be here, whether we mark the occasion or not. I don't think anyone alive 250 years ago could fully fathom what our world and our inner landscape feels like. But I think those who were wise back then could anticipate the need to defend and provide human dignity. I think there was a hope that democracy would prevail and that people would continue to have a say in what affected their lives. I think there was a sense of economic justice in not being disempowered while being exploited for others' economic benefit. This was the gist of taxation without representation. I think there was a fervor and hope that this land could be a place for at least a few. And over the years, that vision has broadened and at times shrank in response to fear and insecurity. We've had great prophets, women, men, and people of all expressions who have challenged who we thought we were by living a truth that is self-evident. That has happened literally over and over again in our history. And it's no different now. I feel that we are called to live a truth that is, in fact, self-evident. One that at times is dismissed or overlooked or challenged, but it is an enduring power that is self-evident. And because it's self-evident, it doesn't demand that we drive ourselves into the ground. We can hold it lightly and live it with joy without wearing ourselves out. It is self-evident that we belong here. We belong in this country. We don't have to earn a place or find a way to defend this. It's self-evident. We belong here regardless of what a state or lawmaker says, and eventually the universe will bend with us as we lean in and make that more clear by how we intend to live our lives together. It is self-evident that we have a stake in each other's happiness, that you can't have happiness in isolation. The more that we lift each other up, the higher we rise. That is a self-evident fact of the universe. It is self-evident that it takes a lot less energy to love than to hate and mistrust. And it's better for our health and overall well-being. Which is why we can actually be happy, even as we meet and ameliorate injustice. Joy and happiness are on our side at all times, especially when things feel difficult and less certain. It is self-evident that we don't need to know how any of this will turn out in order to love each other boldly and without holding back. We don't need a guarantee of a destiny, but if you like, I'll give you one. It's one that I hold in my heart. I hold in my heart a story in which we are all free to create our lives. And we feel and get a sense of that openness. That expansiveness is our birthright. And it comes to us because we are a child of the universe. And like us, the universe is called toward expansion. I imagine we will continually discover another country within our own lives and within the life that we share together. Another country that has been calling us to notice and embrace it with a full mind and heart. I imagine that when we meet this other country, that we will resist the temptation to plant a flag, and instead let us be implanted with a piece of our soul that we've ignored or forgotten. I imagine as we journey together that we will help each other in covenant meet the other shore, across the border, where freedom truly exists. And we will accompany each other there without fear or blame. I do imagine that the dream of our ancestors and those who came before us will prove too small for the country we actually inhabit. I hope we see that the place we live in is far more vast, far more wild, and far more full of vitality than anything that's ever been seen in the past. It is self-evident to me that instead of those in the past writing a declaration or a letter of what our life will be, we have the chance to show through how we live today a declaration of love and interdependence, which would blow our fathers' socks off. Mm-hmm. We have the chance to surprise even ourselves with the places and people we found ourselves among, who may now be mostly strangers, but soon may become companions in a project of mutual affection. It is self-evident to me that when we lift each other's voice, the music continues to grow brighter. Amen. And may it be so. Please pray with me. Spirit of love, thank you for this loving congregation that bears the heat with me. Thank you for all the people that have made this moment possible, including those that founded this church. Thank you for all those who brought a dish for our picnic, and all the people who have brought us coffee beans so that Ellen Satry could tell us about them. Thank you for all the beautiful people that make this country what it is. All this we pray in gratitude. Amen. And please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn. Lift every voice and sing.
Thank you.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we meet again.
So I've had significant gaps in my musical knowledge over the years, but one thing that I've been grateful for since coming to Youngstown is being introduced to John Denver. So some of you may know this song and this chorus, but after the benediction, feel free to join in. And as you depart on the second day of our 250th year, please remember the one great fact, which is self-evident. You are loved and never truly alone.
To Universalist.